As if I should be able to finish both Christianity and Islam, depending on how much I babble incoherently about certain items that send me into a tangent. So we'll see how it goes. So let's begin, shall we? Christianity. A little breakdown for you, percentage-wise breakdown for you. Beginning period, the Common Era, 26 to 36, I guess, time of Christ, roughly 4 BCE-ish. Lives to be 33 years old, I believe. So anyway, regardless, that's the timeline. The apostles, of course, have to spread the word, and after his death, of course, the beginning of Christianity as we know it. You can see some denominations there. The Roman Catholics, based out of Rome, Italy. Protestants, 1400s, 1500s, starting with Luther, Zwingli, Calvin, Knox, that crew of reformers, basically, of the Catholic Church, or break away from the Catholic Church. The Orthodox Church, of course, Byzantium, originally when the Roman Church or the Western Church splits and begins the Orthodoxy, I guess, in Byzantium. Justinian the First and that crew. Old school idols, icons, and then other Christian denominations that are out there. Of which most Americans, or the majority of Americans, are Christian. However, we are not the United Christian States of America. We are the United States of America, and allow all religious beliefs within our country. There are some ideals of Christianity that our government speaks to as being heavily influential in our politics. However, our government is not supposed to show any favoritism toward religion based off the First Amendment. This kind of shows you the distribution throughout the world. Again, the largest as far as in terms of numbers, religion in the world, Islam is approaching numbers wise. All right, and most of you, I would assume, know kind of the backstory of Christianity. Of course, revolving around Jesus of Nazareth, a Jew born in Bethlehem, conceived through the Immaculate Conception, born during Roman occupation. So again, this is the time of the Romans, which is kind of a play or part of the key part of the story. The Jews, as we covered in the last video, still believe that the Messiah is going to appear, and they pray against at the Wailing Wall every day for the return of the Messiah to take the Hebrews home. However, the followers of Jesus, whether they were Jewish, non-Jewish, at the time, believe that he is the Son of God and is the Messiah promised to the Jewish people. So theoretically, this converted group of Jews believe that Jesus was the Messiah, or is the Messiah, and have spread that word abound around the world, and in the process have spread the belief system of Christianity, or Christ. Let's see. So the New Testament, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, of the New Testament basically recount the stories and miracles of Christ during his lifetime by those that had followed him. There's parables or stories with more morals to the story, as was common practice back in those days, that are being told. And again, stories of miracles that are going to be performed, and things, the power of Jesus. All right, well documented in the New Testament. Now, the New Testament, of course, is a completely different God than the Old Testament. There is no fire and brimstone. There is no pestilence, locusts, and flooding and fire, but a different message of love and understanding and respect. Right. So the drastic difference. Sometimes you see this in Christianity and Christian belief systems, where they're a little bit more punishable, perhaps, in their methods, while they may rely or look more toward the Old Testament, both being Christian, but may still focus more on the Old Testament than the New Testament when it comes to their belief within their church, specific church. But that's a conversation for another time. Anyway, the death, of course, under the curator of Judea, I believe, Pontius Pilate. He'll be arrested. Again, anybody speaking out against Roman rule or speaking something other than adhering to the law of the land would be considered an enemy of the state, and Rome is no different. And he will be arrested, convicted, and sentenced to death by crucifixion, which was a common method used on Christians back in those days. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. So some of the nuts and bolts that you'll have to know for all three of the monotheistics: the Holy Book, the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament or First Testament, the life of Christ, basically, for this New Testament. Place of worship is church, of course. Church normally on Sundays, sometimes Wednesdays, depending on your denomination. Denominations, therefore, are different orders of the Christian faith. Now, the Catholics, most of the denominations broke away from the Catholic belief system. Not all, but most. So if you hear the term denomination, normally, I guess it's technically correct to call a Catholic a denomination, because it is a version of Christianity. But Luther and those groups, Calvin and Knox, they created the Presbyterian Church and the Lutheran Church. So you could actually go to what are called non-denominational churches. For instance, I believe the one down the road here on 10 used to be a non-denominational. I still think it is, on the way to Prescott there. Meaning that it's just a Christian church. It doesn't matter if you belong to the Methodists, Baptists, or Catholics. You can go there if you so desire. However, many of these churches will separate into their own church belief system. The Apostle Paul, again, one of the more influential apostles of the group of the Jesus disciples, tried to basically eliminate some of the direct connections to Judaism, and made Christianity more independent, I suppose, of the Jewish faith. And then you have Peter, who's considered the first Pope of the Catholic Church, and another of the primary influences of the apostles or the followers of Christ at the time of Christ. All right, the Ten Commandments. Now, usually for the freshman class, I have them try to regurgitate as many as they can. So you can see the Jewish, the Catholic, the Protestant versions of the Ten Commandments. Pretty standard in all belief systems to have a kind of a code of conduct, so to speak, how to go about your life. Islam has its 5 pillars. The Buddhists have their Eightfold Path. So most religious systems will have tenets, basic tenets, or things you should follow. And of course, if you don't follow them, there's certain ramifications. All right. If you are a sinner in the Christian sense, you can be forgiven of your sins, depending on the severity of the sin and your denomination. So the punishments can vary. But if you live your life in this type of or following these type of tenets, generally you'll be considered a good human being and be rewarded potentially with salvation. Right. So, and I don't think many people can argue with the basic tenets of religions, and in this case, the Christian faith. They do get a little, however, I don't know how you want to say it, but when you start talking about coveting, and when they specify, coveting your neighbor's wife or coveting your neighbor's goods, coveting, of course, meaning desiring, wanting. Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, he built basically their belief system off of the same concept of desire and tried to eliminate desire. So many of these real tenets, basic tenets of some of these major belief systems revolve around that topic. All right, you see adultery is also thrown in there. Honor your mother and father. So keeping good order within the home and keeping everything within the tent, so to speak. But I think most people have a general idea of the Ten Commandments, most Christians. All right, diffusion, or the spreading of. I may have mentioned a little bit in the intro video of diffusion or the spreading of the word. So Christians have been very effective in spreading the words throughout the continent of Africa and Asia and Europe, all areas of the world. Missions, of course, and missions are still part of the Christian faith today. Many of you, more than likely, have been on a mission in your lifetime at a very young age, where you're going to go perform good deeds for other human beings, and in the process try to spread the word or share the word of your Christian faith in order to help them maintain or at least attain salvation at some period of their life or at the end of their life. So it has been the work of the Christian church to spread that word. Now, sometimes it has been a little bit more violent in its use of mission work, but in contemporary terms or in modern times, it's generally a very peaceful, thoughtful process to try to get to people, to try to convert people or get them to at least hear the word of the Christian faith. I won't go back into my grandmother's experience as a Native American. All right, some of the primary symbols of Christianity: the cross, the crucifix, communion, the Bible, So for testing purposes, again, it's some pretty basic information that you'll be responsible for. All right, I can wrap up with Islam. So Islam has two primary denominations, the Sunni and the Shia. That's not the only, but they're the two primaries. And the Sunni, of course, is the most widely uh, populated of the denominations of Islam. All right, here's some of the others that are kind of subdivisions of the Sunni and the Shia. And you can see the heavy influence in the Middle East, of course, and that is spread into Africa. They call that region, northern region of Africa, the Maghreb. And the Maghreb theoretically is the Middle East extended and highly Muslim in influence. You can also see down in Asia, in Indonesia, and Brunei, Singapore, that area, another heavy influence of the Muslim faith and a heavy population center down there as well. Now, I've spent 4 years of my life in the Middle East and have met and worked with many Muslims. Have had interpreters that have tried to teach me and have taught me items of Islam. And despite what you hear on TV and Muslim bashing and trying to, keep Muslims out of our country, um, there's a lot of misinterpretation of the Islamic faith. However, I'll try to give you the kind of the standard version. So you of course need to know Muhammad. You need to know Muhammad was born in Mecca. Mecca, a city in Saudi Arabia. So you should probably know Saudi Arabia. And now Saudi Arabia, is the Arabian Peninsula when it's taken over by the Saud family in the 1900s. It's going to become Saudi Arabia. But the Arabian Peninsula, when you hear the term Arab, is generally where many of the people of the Middle East trace their heritage, their lineage. Now, keep in mind, Islam is not until around the 600s, in the Common Era, so after Christ, and they've had a major influence since the 600s. But pre-Muhammad, again, this area had, Jewish belief systems and Christianity. So a lot of times today, when people think of the Middle East, they think of Muslims and Islam. Well, they haven't been there all that long. This is the newest of the monotheistic religions. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, so Muhammad. Some of the names that you probably need to know for Muhammad, and you should have had some of this material when you were a freshman. His wife Khadijah, you probably should know that. Her. When Muhammad is wandering about the desert and he's having visions and he's hearing voices, he's talking to the archangel Gabriel. He questions his sanity. He questions the voices and what he's hearing. And it's Khadijah who convinces him that he's not nuts, that he should write down what he is hearing and listen. And of course, that becomes what is the Quran and some of the major writings, the major text of the Muslims or Islam is the Quran. However, as many prophets, he is a prophet, he's not considered a god. There are those that doubt. So he's born in Mecca, and as he becomes older, he tries to spread the word or share the belief or talk of what he has heard from these conversations with Gabriel. And what happens with many of these people is they are viewed as either heretical or heretics, speaking against the chosen norm, whatever the chosen norm is in that area at the time, or nuts. So initially, he's 622, you see here. There's a discovered assassination plot. So they're going to pop smoke. They're going to get out of there. And they're going to go to a city referred to as Yathrib. Right? So you may want to know Yathrib because it's a different name now, and I'll get to that. But at that time, or today, it's probably the second holiest city in Islam behind Mecca. So this pilgrimage is called the Hijra. The Hijra is he and his followers getting out of Mecca to avoid assassinations and persecutions, and they go to the city of Yathrib. So Yathrib, if you don't know, will eventually be called Medina, and Medina means the city of the prophet. So you may want to throw that in there for jeopardy. All right, Islam. The term itself means, trying to move this thing with note. There we go. Where was I? Islam means one who submits. Islam means submission. Muslim are the followers of Islam, which means one who submits to Islam. All right. Their God is Allah. And again, Muhammad is a prophet. Their God is Allah. Now, Abraham from the Christian Bible and the Jewish Bible is also in Islam. He's referred to as Abraham. Abraham had two sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Right? Ishmael has a little bit of different history than Isaac, a different mother. However, the Muslims trace their lineage to Ishmael. All right. And the three monotheistics then all are connected, and they're referred to as people of the book. And Muslims believe, in Jesus. They just don't believe he is the Messiah. They believe he's a prophet. Matter of fact, ISIS makes mention of Jesus. I'll get to that if I think about it someday, and when we get to the Middle East. All right. Okay. This little fun lammy jammy. All right. You probably need to know the five pillars, or that there are five pillars of Islam, and these are, again, basic tenets of the faith and how you should lead your life. The first tenet being God or Allah. You profess your belief in Allah and Muhammad as his prophet. All right. They pray 5 times a day. Devout Muslims will pray 5 times a day. I have trained with many Muslims, and when we are in fields or in the field, or if we are in a dangerous area, matters not to most Muslims. They'll bring their prayer rugs with them, pack them in their rucksacks, and if it is prayer time and we are in a relatively safe mode or not engaged, they will take time to pray. Now, if you're in a firefight or something like that, it's probably not going to happen. But afterwards, after things have settled down, then they will go about their praying. All right. Fasting during Ramadan, of course, is common. Fasting to them is basically the daylight hours. No eat, limited drink, dusk to dawn. You got to be mindful of other things. Most Muslims don't drink. I shouldn't say don't smoke, but they probably shouldn't smoke, but many of them do. But during Ramadan, they try to adhere to that more strictly. We've had Muslim students in the past and have struggled during Ramadan. Sometimes, it's a revolving window when Ramadan, based on, I believe, on lunar calendars, when it takes place. So sometimes it's taken place in the summertime. We've had Muslims go out, or Muslim students go out for football, and of course they're fasting and they're not drinking a lot of water. That's not a good combination. So, but it's a real deal. As I've been in Muslim countries during Ramadan, we have been told not to flaunt food or drink during Ramadan. So if you're driving around and you have a McDonald's bag in your dashboard, not good behavior, not good karma, not good juju. And in some cases, you can be arrested for things like that, for flaunting in some of these countries, or drinking water publicly. You got to be discreet. Let's put it that way. Tithe to help the poor, needy, and the elderly. Again, most people don't know that that's one of the basic tenets of Islam, and they try to care for the poor and the elderly. And then the Hajj, of course, is the pilgrimage to Mecca. At least once in their lifetime, all Muslims want to attend Hajj. Now, I worked with Afghan soldiers when I was in Afghanistan. I worked with, and they're all Muslim, a medical company commander by the name of Muhammad Wazi. And Wazi had the opportunity to go to Mecca when I was there, and it was in December. And he came back, I wouldn't say a completely different man, but spiritually different as he returned from Hajj. Now, Hajj, the whole process, is a combination of Abraham and Muhammad, some of the sites that they visit, some of the tasks that they have to accomplish when they go on Hajj. But it is all in the name of Allah. And as I said, Muhammad Wazi, when he came back, felt spiritually cleansed. And we had pretty good conversations talking about his experience. So the basic document then is the Quran, the holy book. Their place of worship is called a mosque. And you hear the term jihad thrown around quite a bit in Western culture, to strive or to struggle. And all Muslims believe in jihad, but jihad is an internal struggle, not a holy war. It's an internal struggle to be closer to Allah. It does not kill the infidel. But I'll get to that in the future. All right, so this is Mecca. This is the Grand Mosque of Mecca. The center item is the Kaaba. And the Kaaba, in one corner, and I don't think we can see the corner, houses what's called the Black Stone. And the Black Stone is believed to literally be a meteorite or a chunk of a meteorite, but it was blessed by Abraham and Muhammad, and is placed in one of the corners of the Kaaba. And the beginning of Hajj starts with circling the Kaaba 7 times. And the hope is that they can get close enough to the Black Stone to either touch it or kiss it. It's behind plexiglass during the pilgrimage. So they circle the Kaaba 7 times. Try to get near the Black Stone. Oh, well, there it is. Here's a picture of it. Well, it's protected status. All right, I thought we had seen this already, but maybe I'm just senile. But anyway, so this is the spread of Islam. I suppose I had the same thing for Christianity. So you can see the spread of Islam most closely related to the Middle East. Right now, Europe is becoming heavily influenced. Europe is an interesting story in that, and Russia, in that its population is declining. They are old continents, and their population has been in decline for many years. And the influx of Muslims from some of these um, occupied territories and wars, Syria, Iraq, you name it, they have made their way into Europe. And that is probably the fastest growing population in Europe and parts of Africa. So there is a current reaction to that influx between the old Christians and the incoming Muslims. Now we have some of that in the United States. We have a pretty large Muslim population in regions of the world like Dearborn, Michigan, one of the largest population of Muslims in the United States, where there have been clashes. But ultimately, in our country, normally, belief systems assimilate into our culture. But Islam's a little different animal as far as assimilation is concerned. So pay attention to that in the future. All right. Symbols of Islam. And that looks like it's it. The crescent moon, the color green, black, also a color of Islam. So we'll get more into more of that as we get into the Middle East, probably next week. So thank you for your time. I will stop babbling and get this out, share with you for the weekend. Enjoy your weekend.